articles recently, and my experience in the surfing industry, the profession I chose and loved, I thought I'd do a video and speak up about it. The surfing industry has absolutely no idea what it's like to be a female. Certainly not an industry that is dominated by males. The misogyny goes back decades and is just ingrained within the system. For a female surfer, we're caught right in the middle, where firstly they use models who don't surf to promote all of their product. And regarding our surfing, our entire lives, we're compared to the boys. So if you've just listened to what I've said, if you've understand what I've just said, I'm essentially saying that it's humiliating. I mean, could you imagine? There's no way that the professional surfer boys would go on a surf trip, surf all day, come in, and then hand over their surfboards to a bunch of models who have never surfed in their life, and just sit on the sideline. Not only did it affect the other athletes I was on the trips with, I mean, we were insecure, thinking, why aren't we beautiful enough? We're handing over our own surfboards to these thin models who are getting paid more than us on the trip. It just would never happen within the boys industry. It was unfair. It affected us on so many levels, even regarding, you know, insecurity on body weight and things like that. That's exactly what happened to us on every single trip that we went on, pretty much. We were sort of degraded, left on the sidelines, while the most beautiful, glamorous models shot with our surfboards. Now for the important stuff. All the trips I went on to from a very, very young age. I was 14 years old on my first trip, and alcohol and drugs were present everywhere, continuously, and this should not have happened. I was extremely young, I was overseas, and it was almost, I would say, peer pressure. They were pretty much like, you know, that they were like, oh, you can't go surfing Tahiti your first wave and not have a drink. I was 14 years old. I got drunk for the first time. It was terrifying. I blacked out. I don't even know what happened half of those times. And, you know, we were kids. Therefore, the chances of drug and alcohol abuse becoming a problem were extremely high. And I've personally witnessed my own, you know, there's so many examples of misconduct within this particular company that I've experienced over time. I'm just touching the surface. But one story in particular that stands out to me is we were in Sumbawa, and I'd already gone through a very lot with the company. And I was 18 years old at the time, and a 15-year-old girl, all the team managers had supplied her alcohol. She was so drunk, she was on the ground vomiting, and her female team manager was laughing and actually filming with her iPhone. So that's the kind of thing that went on. And I actually was almost triggered when I saw it happen, and I thought, you know what, no, I'm going to step in, because a guy was actually trying to take her back to his hotel room, and her team manager was completely okay with this, because it's happened to me before and I got taken advantage of as well. But because I could see what was happening, I grabbed her, I pushed him away and said, no, you know, we're going to take you back to your room, you're going to wake up, we're going to take care of you when you're back to normal. And that's just one example of thousands that I could give you. There are at least 2 high-profile female surfers that their biggest fear that they'd always said has come true. That if they got pregnant, their company, the company I was with, would drop them and they would lose their sponsors if they had a baby, and that's exactly what happened with both of them. Female surfers that were and are gay had very little chance of succeeding, if any. I mean, this is way before the LGBT or the Me Too movement. it was well known within the industry that being gay was not good for the brand. So as a bisexual myself and some of the other girls, we just kept that to ourselves, and we didn't talk about it. But some of the girls did get dropped and did lose their sponsorships because of their sexuality. And as for the sexual harassment, because the lack of supervision and care that I had over the years, I was constantly subjected to extremely dangerous situations. You know, I remember 16 or 17, they put me on a floor, on a mattress on a floor, and I was staying in a room with 4 or 5 men who were mostly coming home, because we were out in Tahiti, we were on these trips and they're partying, living it up. They were coming back into the room absolutely blind. I don't know what happened during that entire week that I was staying in that room, and I don't even want to know what happened, so I will not even touch base on it. I think that for me to have recovered from all of this, it took years. I had my family support. I had intensive therapy. I've come out of the industry. I had no interest in staying with the industry. I was happy. I moved on. I continued camping, surfing, fishing, having an absolutely amazing time. And then Nick reached out to me, Nick McCandless, and provided sort of like this opportunity where I could interact with my followers and show exclusive content and, you know, show a different version of me that's always existed. You know, like, it's just something that I think that with women, people only expect them to be one thing, but I'm choosing to be, and I want all women to not limit themselves. I can be a surfer, I can fish all day, I can camp, and I can also have a website where I'm intimate with my followers. And it's a website that has such a great community of people who, there's no judgment, everyone's themselves, and yes, it's a bit sexual, and yes, it's promiscuous, but that's always been a part of me that I've had. But what has really bothered me is that people have said in articles that I was pushed into a pornography site because of surfing, that I didn't make it. And that's entirely untrue. I'd left the industry long ago. I'd recovered from the trauma, and I was happy living my life, and now I'm more than happy with this new site. I wasn't pushed into anything. I made my own decision, and I couldn't be happier. Nick McCandless and his team and his company is the opposite from the last industry that I was a part of. He provides care, understanding. He is the utmost, I have the utmost respect for this man. He is just incredible, and he's changed my life. So finally, I'd just like to say, for all of you that have followed me throughout the years, I do love you so much. I hope this sort of can clear up how I feel about the surfing industry, and also how I feel about Ellie Unlocked. And if you'd like to see that side of me, well then please subscribe.